Hey everybody, it's the Captain here, and this is another video request, and we got like a ton of them. I've been forcing myself not to work on the weekends, or at least on internet stuff. So I just worked on my car and motorcycle, which were being very cunty and disagreeable, and only one of them is still working. So, but anyway, so we got a backlog, so we're gonna hopefully knock these out, not to shortchange anyone with brevity, but gonna nail them and knock them out all here. Anyway, this one comes from Luke. He has 6 questions. They theme around a generational thing about economics and the baby boomers and all that. So I'll just answer them here. 1. Do the baby boomers know they're baby boomers? Surely the civil servants and politicians have a basic working knowledge. Basically, all of our problems socially, economically, demographically lead back to them. They are wrong. Do they? Some do. And, like, for example, and you got to give credit due where it's deserved. You have people like Dennis Prager, who's quite ashamed of his generation. There are other baby boomers out there who mathematically know just how much their generation. Now, they don't take personal offense or umbrage because they know they've been voting the right way and have taken personal responsibility and tried to instill correctness in the children. And they've done their best. But they do know as a generation that it's true. Now, the baby boomers who are intellectually dishonest, there's still a lot of them out there who they know, I think deep down inside they all know, they just can't let the ego affect them. And so if you ever criticize baby boomers and they get all pissed off and they start calling you ageist or that's bigoted or prejudiced, it shows you that they're hiding behind the generation. You know, like, oh look, you dislike a particular generation, so that means you're ageist. It's like, no, we don't like what your generation did. It has nothing to do with your age. It has to do with you as a group. And they can't, you know, take themselves out and say, yeah, you know, you're right, we really did, you know, screw the pooch on this one. So yeah, there's still a lot of narcissists. I mean, look at most of your professors, and yeah, there are people that really, and you know, again, I always provide this caveat because it's true. You know, you think the baby boomers are gone and then life's all of a sudden going to get better. It isn't, because Gen X and the millennials are even worse and more narcissistic and spoiled. So, but yeah, some of them do, some of them don't, but I'd say on the whole about 50-50, and I'd say very few percentage of them have any remorse or regret because their ego wouldn't allow for it. There are some that do. Does the DSM have a big section on generational narcissism? The mass narcissism psychosis of the boomers is really fucked. You don't hear about the Etruscans because they became resource fodder for the Roman. My little 78 to 83 generation is Etruscan? I don't know what that means. I know it's like a subgroup before Rome was created. I don't know if the DSM has something on generational narcissism. I know they have stuff on narcissism. But there's definitely a group think if that's what you're trying to aim for. Like, it's a very interesting thing. When I was a kid, I was down in Bloomington, Minnesota, and I was 14, and there was like a group of kids, and I was like, hey, because I was visiting my aunt. I said, hey, can I play with you guys? And they were just kind of like, well, who's this guy? And they're just playing basketball. I said, well, just, you know, all right, you know, you don't have to. And it was weird how they would all act without saying the same, without exchanging words. Basically, you know, there's, all right, I bet, you know, this guy can do, you know, I bet $5 that this guy would not lose to this, or he would beat this girl at basketball. So what ends up happening, he absolutely throws the game. And, you know, I was a sucker and stupid for taking that bet. Well, I offered it. But they didn't have to say anything. They already knew. And generations and groups of people know. Another one I'm particularly concerned about is Muslims. Where it's like, well, I'm not a radical Muslim. And, like, it's like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. So, yeah, I think there is some of that, what would you call it, psychological loyalty to one another. Maybe even subconscious. But I don't think it's documented in the DSM. Do you have a generation? As a 1981 baby, seems like I don't exist anyway. Yeah, you're like, I don't know, I guess you're Gen X. Maybe you're Gen Y. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It really... There's the World War II generation and shit. That's basically... And it doesn't matter where you are along the way. So... If I don't bow down and become a slave for the mistakes of older generations, I didn't get to have a life. And worst case, homelessness beckons. You're supposed to work so the next generation has a better life than you yourself had. The boomers didn't get that. Oh, no, they didn't. And neither did millennials or Gen X. I mean, it's going shit downhill for every future successive generation. There may be a generation that actually wakes up. We have like a Ronald Reagan moment, but no, it isn't. At what generation will the average girlfriend be taller, broader shouldered, more masculine, more violently horny than the average boyfriend? Boys are girls, girls are the new men, and we're all carrots to the elite. You know, I'm not a evolutionist or evolutionary expert, but you're right. If things keep going this way, it would become kind of like, you know, like insects or spiders, where the female is much bigger and stronger and eats the man if it dares to procreate with. Like, look up the Black Widow. She, you know, the praying mantis is, I think, another one. That may take a couple million years, but in general, I don't think. I know a subsegment of women are, and sure, you're going to have, we're lesbians, or we're going to, you know, have they're in a transgender, they maybe have a lot of testosterone, or men have a lot of estrogen, but that's such a small percentage of the population, and they typically don't breed. So that is unlikely. And you could even say, well, lesbians have, well, okay, but from some other guy, they got to go and get a sperm donor. And so it's really hard for homosexual people. I say it wouldn't be homosexual, but there's a high correlation between homosexual people and not 100% testosterone, 100% estrogen. And so when you have that, your likelihood of breeding that and repopulating and having that become standard is impossible. In other words, what I'm saying is, if you are homosexual, or if you are quote-unquote butch, or if you are effeminate and a male, you're probably starting to get into homosexuality or bisexuality, and then your breeding rates of your own genetic material plummet. So from a evolutionary standpoint, they would probably not. I wouldn't say they're going to breed out, but because of their sexual preference, you just don't have kids. You don't pass on your genetic material, or it's harder to do. Do the liberal boomer elite know they themselves just stooges for the shadows who really run the world? I'm thinking of Adorno and the Frankfurt School's engineering in the 60s counterculture. I'd say most liberals are well-intended, as much as I hate to say that. You're either stupid or evil, and most liberals are stupid. Because they really do think they're doing the right thing, and it's very simple child logic. Kids are starving, let's give them money. Blacks are doing poor, give them money. Africa's doing poor, give them money. And they don't think about, okay, well, what does that do to the behaviors of the groups you're trying to help out? Not just today, but down the road, when this government program or action is introduced into that population, what happens to the behavior of the population? And they never. So it's a very simple, like, oh yeah, let's just help out, you know, let's give them money. You know, kids, they need more money for school, and that's as far as they think. But there are liberals who are part of that Frankfurt School, maybe not the actual Frankfurt School, but they know damn well what they're doing. Nancy Pelosi is one, Hillary Clinton is another, Barack Obama is a perfect example. They consciously know what they're doing, yeah, but they don't care. They're evil, and some of them are just, they're vengeful. They like, for example, Obama, I think, really does hate America. I think he is a racist. I think he does hate white people. You know, he can't come out and say that. He has to act like it. Whereas Hillary Clinton is more of a Machiavellian opportunist. I don't think she, at least Obama would stand for something. You know, he may think he was done wrong by whites, or he was done wrong by rich people, and he actually may have this sense of justice that must be done. So in his mind, he's actually good. Hillary Clinton doesn't give a shit. She'll do whatever. And this is why Bill Clinton was such a popular president. The Clintons are opportunists, and it's blowing that way. All right, that's the way we're going. They have no moral compass, good or evil. Obama, depending on what side you're on, he at least has a moral compass. He's an ideologue. He's going to go a certain way. So again, it's whether or not they know it. Yes, they know it, and you know, most of them don't give a shit. They're just here to. They're really evil, disgusting people. Do you think the liberal abortion fetish is a weird letting off psychological steam mechanism, a way of processing out all the shit their psyche has to bend to for liberals to be liberals in the first place? No, I think. Well, some feminists are absolutely obsessed with abortion. I don't know like, what was it? Gloria Steinem has a shirt. She's all proud that says, "I had an abortion." You know, I'm pro-choice. I think abortion is absolutely necessary. I think it's a dark, great thing, because I don't believe kids whose parents don't want them brought into this world, can't afford them, should not be brought into this world, and they're going to suffer more if they're here. Now, let's be clear. It's murder. I believe it's murder, which is why it's a dark, good thing. It's like, well, boy, oh, I guess, yeah. But that's just my blunt, direct opinion on abortion. But I still don't like the idea of killing a fetus. I really don't. It would be like, that's the last thing you want to do. So you make damn sure you have birth control and all that. Some women, feminists, I should say, and men too, I guess, they celebrate the fact they had an abortion. That's just sick. I mean, it's proof positive. They are fucked in the head. It's like, there's something wrong with you. You don't care about humanity. At least it's a mercy killing, like before the baby gets to become a baby. You know, like at least there's a compassionate thought that goes into it. A lot of people would say selfish because, well, these people don't want to ruin their lives, and well, they'd be bringing a kid and not only ruining their lives but the lives of the would-be theoretical children. But yeah, there is a string of primarily feminists who it is a fetish, and it's just sick. Like, they get so, like, reproductive rights. It's like, okay, go, but like, why celebrate abortion? It's just, I'm trying to think of, it's like, let's celebrate chemotherapy. It's horrible. I get it's gotten better, and that's not even perfectly analogous. I'm trying to think of something that's a necessary evil where it's like, yeah, but you don't celebrate it. You try to avoid it. It's like the absolute last thing you do. So, yeah, so that's it. So those are the 6 questions. I don't know, I guess I'll figure out a title for it later. Anyway, if you got your questions, go to assholeconsulting.com for a reasonable fee. I won't say small, because sometimes I get long-ass emails. I gotta put, if you want videos, I gotta charge extra for that. Or if you just want to email, that's a lot easier. So any questions about life, and you're willing to pay for it, I will answer all. Toodles.